Hi, welcome to this part of the celebration of Dr. Hummer's 89th birthday celebration. Today, I'm going to interview my friend, Mr. Shyam Mehta, for him to share some of the experiences he's had over the last few years, converting his knowledge into wisdom in practicing Germanic healing knowledge. Before we get started, I need to take a quick break and read you the disclaimer that I need to put at the front of the video. Okay, this video shall, this information given in this presentation is for educational purposes only. Participants shall consult their medical doctors for health reasons before using anything that's disclosed during the course of this presentation. Students shall not use any of the different information given in the presentation whilst writing their exams. So there you go. Now, let's get into the good stuff. I'd like to introduce you to my very good friend, Shyam Mehta. A very brief background. Shyam started, I introduced Shyam to Germanic healing knowledge and to Dr. Hummer's body of knowledge at the end of 2019, and Shyam has been studying Germanic healing knowledge since the beginning of 2020. So he's about just over 3.5 years along his journey. Today, we are going to discuss some of Shyam's experiences switching off various different diseases that he has personally experienced, and some of the case studies of how he has helped other people to find that magic switch and switch off diseases of various different descriptions. So, Shyam, thank you for your time. Welcome to the celebration for Dr. Hummer's birthday, and we look forward to hearing some of your experiences you've had over the last few years.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for interviewing me. And it's always a pleasure to share my experiences. And as always, I hope that it helps others also get onto the same path and heal themselves and take control of their health and lives and live happily. It's the biggest thing is to be happy. And if you can control your health, you can be happy. So that's
Yes, Shyam, let's start off with some of your personal experiences, because what my personal approach to this modality is that if you can't heal yourself, you can't help others to heal themselves. So let's kick this off on a slightly different track, and let's get some of your personal experiences of health challenges that you have faced and how you went about resolving those. Is that okay?
Yes, of course, and I will. And before I go to one of the challenges I faced, let me just uh, tell everyone that the key is to find the trigger or the switch. That's the key in every disease. If you can find the cause of the conflict, and you have the switch in your hand. If you can't, then you're still going to be groping, but it's worth a shot every time. Keep thinking, and it comes. So
Absolutely.
let me
Give us some examples of those switches you found, Shyam.
give you an example of something that happened to me, I think a couple of years ago, 2 or 3, maybe in 21, maybe in 21 August. Or I had been having kind of nagging pain in my hip joint.
Okay.
I think it was my right hip joint.
Okay.
And on the outside. So I was wondering what is it, maybe since I do horse riding, I thought maybe, I get on the horse wrong, or maybe while playing polo, somebody hit me or something. But it used to come and go. And I kept thinking, when I started trying to analyze what was going on in my life when the pain came, because as we now know, this is the healing symptom of a conflict.
What is a conflict, Shyam?
And the conflict connected to that part of the hip is not wanting to endure something that is going on.
Correct.
So I was trying to figure out what is it that I don't want to endure. So I couldn't put two and two together, and it was not an extreme pain. So I was okay. I can tolerate it. Let it pass. Let it pass. Then I found myself one day in Delhi. I was at the airport, and before the airport, the pain started increasing suddenly.
Mm-hmm.
And at the airport, it became excruciating. So I thought, I couldn't walk. I was embarrassed because I didn't want to ask for a wheelchair. I've never been unfit in my life, and but I did get onto that buggy, the golf cart. I said,
Yep.
look, it's impossible to walk to the gate. So I very sheepishly got onto the golf cart, which is also not meant for fit people. But anyway, since I couldn't walk, I said, might as well do it. So I did it. I took the golf cart and went to the gate and hobbled onto a chair and sat down. And that set me thinking that, look, I got to solve this because this is serious stuff. And I was to land in Bombay, and I was to go to the farmhouse where 8, 10 of my friends were waiting for me. And I had to drive from the airport. My chauffeur was going to bring the car and hand it over to me. So I said, I got to solve. So anyway, I couldn't through the flight. I could not. Then I landed in Bombay and I debated whether I should go to the farm, not go. I said, and then finally I said, I have to go. There are 10 people waiting. So I went. Again, I could barely walk. I needed help to climb up the steps and, sit down, and all kinds of advice. Of course, people were giving me this, that, I have this pill, and this is it. You must have slipped, you must have twisted. And I knew it was nothing of that. Anyway, I went to the room at night because, I said, let me stretch my leg and lie down. And I started thinking. And I said, what is it that I didn't want to endure, which has ended recently, in the last few days? And I realized it was a connection with a particular case, legal case, which I was handling, and a particular part of that, which was very strenuous. I was cross examining some expert witnesses from overseas, and it was strenuous. And, I didn't want to endure that. I realized that I just didn't want to do that. It was so much effort, so much stress, and the pressure of preparing and very technical stuff, reading things which are not in a normal lawyer's day to day reading. And I said, God, this is it. This is what I didn't want to endure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's over. So this is the healing. I said, okay, that seems okay. Let me see. Next morning, I was 70% better. I could walk. It was not pain free, but it was very tolerable pain. The next day, that's 48 hours later, 99% better. I could have run a mini marathon because I'm not a runner. I could still have run 5 or 10 kilometers without a problem.
Yeah.
So this is the magic. You find the trigger and the switch, and it vanishes by itself. But you have to make the connection in your mind, like I did. I said, this is the cause with conviction. This is the cause. And the moment my subconscious mind connected the two and said, oh, he knows now what is the cause, it stopped the program.
Triggers a
And I
cathartic
have never
healing, right?
experienced,
Amazing.
I didn't take anything. I didn't do any physiotherapy. I would have been in physiotherapy for a month. I did not take any medication. I didn't do anything. Nothing. It was just magical. From unbearable pain to 48 hours being fit to run a race, even if not a marathon. So that was one of my major experiences.
Wow. Amazing.
Which magically, just shut down. So, and by and large, I really don't have any other issues. Yeah, I had some small ones, but not worth talking about.
How
But
about
this
your
is the main.
How about your mandibular?
Yeah,
That
the
was
submandibular.
that was a problem.
That was. I got it once. I got it twice. I went to the doctor. He said there's an inflammation, etc., and antibiotics. And I called you. I said, and that was early days of my Germanic healing.
Mm.
And you said, let's check the conflict. And it was a chunk conflict of wanting to get something out of my life. And the moment I realized, because I wanted to, there was a time there when I wanted somebody out of my life. And the moment I realized that that's what I want and that's why the pain, I didn't take any antibiotics, I didn't take any medication, and in 5 days it was gone, and it virtually never came back. Though there were moments when it did, because that person, there was an in and out of my life. So every time I wanted the person out, it sort of tingled, and I said, oh, watch out, better not, shut your mind, don't go down that road, and it would vanish. So, but I knew the trigger. The beauty is you start realizing and you start understanding that here, oh, why is it happening? It's my thought process. You stop the thought, the pain stops. The process, the program stops instantly. So now you can instantly in your body all the time stop
Ridiculous,
the
right?
thought, stop the process.
It's
It's amazing.
ridiculous.
You stop thinking, you stop the process. Yeah, there are times when you can't stop thinking. It's tough. I know things happen in our lives, but for that you have to meditate, or you go into the hills, or you go somewhere where you are happy and you don't keep thinking of those things which cause disease. All negative thoughts will cause disease. So, have positive thoughts and be happy. If you think something negative, something's going to start in your body, however mild or small.
So
So be
talking
very.
about mild or small going to big, let's have a discussion on your recent Goa trip, Sham, and see how that went, because that's also there's some
Oh
great
yes, yes.
there's some great learning in that as well, right?
I tell you, it was quite a process for me, and it was tough. I mean, I was leading a very hectic life. I was flying around, and I think somewhere in my subconscious I didn't like that, because I don't like doing anything hectic. I like a peaceful, quiet life.
Ah,
But I was flying to Delhi every weekend, and the last one meaning not this one, but the previous to that, I was in Delhi again. I came to Bombay on Sunday. I flew to Goa for a case on Monday night, and Tuesday I had the case. Monday night, in the middle of the night, I woke up. That's Tuesday early morning, sneezing. So I somewhere in my sleep I went into healing. That is also something I've learned, that you can dream yourself to healing. So if you
yes.
have in your sleep, if you have a dream which triggers a healing process in your body, you will wake up sick. That's what happened to me. I woke up sneezing, and I said, I tried to figure out what was the dream, or what is it that I resolved. I don't know, but whatever it was, I resolved some sting conflict, and I started sneezing, and I had a terrible cold without warning. So my only guess is I could only say it's because of this. Okay, so that's one part. That's a minor thing. Cold, handleable. Finished my case the whole day. The cold had gotten worse, of course. The healing was getting more and more active. And I took the flight to Bombay. And on the flight, I had a scare. Despite calming my mind as much as I could not, I guess it was not completely calm. My ears, both my ears, shut, were completely blocked, and they were in pain. And there was a stage when I thought that I would lose at least one of the ears. It was so bad, and all the advice that you have received over the years, all that you have read about flying with a cold, bad cold, and eardrums can get damaged. And I said, oh.
Buried
And
deep in your subconscious mind, Sham, I
yeah,
imagine.
deep in my subconscious, because I have suffered colds all my life. So, it's possibly deep in. So, somewhere along the way on the flight, and I got a fright. It was a scare. I may like to believe I'm immune to all this, but nobody is.
Nope.
And I did get scared. I surrendered to the body. I did everything I could to downgrade the fear by saying, it's okay, what will be, will be. Ke sara sara. If I lose the year, I'll live with 1 year. Whatever it is, leave it to the Lord. But my subconscious mind was scared, and the fear was there. I landed in Bombay, my ears blocked, slight pain, they refused to open. Maybe the subconscious continued with the fear a little more, though I felt relieved that I've landed and they have not burst and there's no bleeding. I don't feel any problem. So I have saved my ears. The next day, I got bronchitis. Now,
Mm.
we know the bronchi reacts to a scare, scare, fright, conflict. and it can either be a scared fright or it could be a territorial fear.
Territorial
Could
fear,
be
yeah.
a territorial fear conflict. So
Yeah.
now ears are part of my territory. Something's happening to my ears. It could be a territorial fear. It could also be a scared fright that I'm going to lose. So it could be either. But whatever it is, I knew it was the fear of losing my ear and the hearing that triggered this bronchitis. And then it got worse. Maybe I went into more healing. Maybe there was a little bit of a fear still lingering. And Wednesday was bad. Thursday was a disaster. I could not breathe. I could not take a normal breath. So that I tried again my best to downgrade the fear because we don't take medicines. I didn't take anything. And I tried to downgrade the fear by saying it's okay, it'll pass. But the human mind being such, and this is where I know how difficult it can be for people who are trying to heal themselves with the knowledge of Germanic healing, is that the fact that the breathing was difficult added to the fear and the scare and the territorial fear or the scare fright conflict. That's the tough one, and I understand how people get affected. I can only say to them that hang in there, try your best to control that fear. I'm not sure that you will like what I have to say next, Danny, but my advice to people is that if you just can't handle it or you just can't breathe, maybe you can take something to relieve yourself immediately.
No, I completely agree, Shyam. I mean, I often still, if required, if something can help short-term crutch to resolve symptoms
Correct.
in the short term,
Correct.
I mean, use it. Yeah, it's
So,
fine.
so rather than get into deeper conflict of fear, it's better to take something to relieve yourself so that in my case, in a case like this, you can breathe and you feel relieved, and at least that fear is gone. Because otherwise, fear will add to fear and you may choke, and then it'll get worse because you'll just not be able to breathe. So sometimes it's
No,
good. Medicine is good. It's got its uses.
I
It's
agree.
a it's science is, of course, it's brilliant. Medication can be brilliant, but the problem with medication is that we have to be very careful how you use it. You
Yeah.
use it in the extreme situation, relieve yourself, and go back to healing yourself. Don't let the medicine destroy your healing process otherwise. What can happen, I have learned, is that sometimes the infection is so strong and so powerful when it comes to heal you that it can kill you. So it's better to control the healing, to control the infection a little bit, to keep yourself comfortable. That's It's really worth it, I feel.
How did you resolve this in the end, Shyam?
So to tell you honestly, at night on Thursday night, I thought that I'll not be able to sleep the whole night. I could not focus. I couldn't watch telly. I couldn't do anything because I couldn't breathe. So I called my doc. I asked him, doctor, what should I do? Of course, he go to the hospital, do this. I said, I'm not going anywhere. You tell me one thing that I can do just to be able to breathe. I don't care about the rest. So he told me there's a pump, that you use and you spray something in your mouth. And I took it. I bought
It's
it.
it's a steroid, right? It's a
No,
steroid
it's
spray.
not a steroid. It's not a
No?
steroid. It's
No?
an antibiotic. But you have to
Ah.
just pump it into you. One dose of the antibiotic. One
Mm.
dose. I took one dose that night.
Hmm.
And within 1 hour, my breathing eased. I slept through the night and I was ready to take everything on in my body myself without medication again. So sometimes that one dose gives you that respite, that fear that I won't be able to sleep that night, I can't do anything, it'll get worse, I'm not able to take a single breath. I've never felt that before. Vanished. I slept through the night, I woke up in the morning, breathing fine, the fear's gone, and I recovered on my own. But sometimes that
Yeah.
one aid you need, you do need
Crutch.
that one aid. And I would not advise people that just don't do anything and sit at home, because you can get worse and worse, and it can be a
Spiral.
disaster.
Spiral, yeah.
Yes, because it's impossible for a human being to not be able to breathe and to sit at home and say, I'm fine. It's impossible.
Yeah.
His subconscious mind will not allow that. And it will keep the process on, and it will take it to its logical conclusion, which is not worth it. So, yes, sometimes you can call it cheating or whatever, but it's not cheating. It is just to help you along. By and large, heal
Yeah.
yourself, but sometimes you need assistance. Now, for example, there are times when people have throbbing headaches, they can't take the pain. So, a painkiller is worth it. You can't tell that person, just keep bearing the pain. You have to say, take the painkiller, feel better, so that mentally you're at peace and you'll heal faster. But if you're going to struggle with that pain, then that's going to add to its problems, and it will add a new biological program in your body. So you do have to sometimes have a medical intervention. And even the Germanic healing knowledge books also say sometimes you have to have medical intervention. There's no question about it.
Dr. Hummer used to use it as a crutch as well, right? He used to use cortisone and stuff when in extreme healing phases where you had to
Correct.
reduce the cerebral fluid in the brain and stuff. So you use all of the tools available in order to be able to solve a problem, right? So that's what I do as well. Yeah.
Yes, you see, uh, I have a friend also who has some issue with his lungs, so he's not able to handle it. And I told him he was trying his best in German healing. I found the cause. I found everything. So this conditioning from because his father had died of that disease, some lung pulmonary lung disease. So and he was always thought he went like that. I will also go like that. He's 56. I said, my friend, you can't be thinking like that. This thinking has to stop. There's nothing like he died like that. I'll die like that. I've got others also think like this. My father went like this. I'm going to go like that. It's like someone who told me that I'm a classic case of a heart attack. I'm going to die of a heart attack because my father died of a heart attack. My mother had 2 heart attacks. So I'm also going to die of a heart attack. I said, excuse me, I'm different. Forget about the heart attack. The thing's going to happen and I'm not taking any medication. So when I told him that, he realized that yes, his lungs are affected. But I think it's been going on in his head for so long that his healing has been going on for like 5 months now. And he took medicines. I said, now there's no choice. You'll have to take it because you're frightened, and that fright will make it worse.
Yep.
Because doctors are saying your lungs are bad, and you already thought that I'm going to go in the same way as my dad. So I said, you take what you want to take. Just feel better, and then cut it down. But take what you want. So he's much better now, and I've told him that you will. Some point you stop all this medication. He's on very mild medication, but he's resting. He'll have to rest for another few months before he recovers, because I think it's been a long conflict. It's been on his mind for a long time. So last year, sometime he started coughing, and he thought, "Oh my God, it's happening," and he went into that zone. And so, rather than not take any medication, suppose he listens to me and just does not take it, and he gets more and more into the fear of dying, he'll die. So it's better that he reaches a stage when he feels now I'm fine, and then he heals himself. Not when he's scared that I'm going to go, and then he stops the medication. It's like a death warrant then. So it's not worth. Sometimes you have to resort to medication for a bit, just for that, just to get yourself out of that zone of fear.
Okay, let's look at some of the skin conditions that you've been. Oh no, actually, let's whilst we're on the lungs, let's finish off on the case study of your friend's daughter that you had an experience with. Just explain that to us if you can.
Yes. So my friend called me and he told me that my daughter has been coughing for 8 to 10 years.
Wow.
So I was like, 8 to 10 years? He said, yes, it's just not gone. She keeps coughing. It's continuous cough.
How old is she? Young.
She's 30 something. Young, 30, 32. So when she came, she was 30. It was a couple of years ago. And I said, okay, bring her. He didn't bring her for a long time, and he continued medications, all kinds. He went to every possible doctor in the country. this one is the best, that one is the best. He kept telling me, I've gone to the best this thing, and I've gone to the best ENT, and I've gone to the best this, and he went to England, and he went everywhere. Nothing worked. 8 to 9 years of coughing.
Wow.
So one day he brought her to my house out of desperation, nowhere else to go, what to do. He brought her to my place. And she came in coughing. It's not a big cough, but continuous, cough, 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 nose running. So it was like a twin conflict going on at the same time. One is some fear, some scare fright, and some uh, uh, sting conflict at the same time, just going on. And probably the cough was causing a sting conflict, or a condition itself was causing a sting conflict. That
Right.
look at my condition, I don't like it, and you keep sneezing, and you have a runny nose. So we started talking, and I said, we'll have to go back to the beginning. Luckily, her father and she are very close, so he knew what was going on in her life.
Mm.
She was in England studying, and something happened to her. She got a slight cold. If I don't remember the exact details, but I'll give you a broad picture. She had a bit of a cold. She wasn't feeling well. She went to the doctor or the hospital, and her cold had gotten worse. And then they did something to her which scared her like crazy in the hospital. They gave her some medications, or they did something which made her worse, and she got a fright. And then it got worse to such an extent that she thought that something's going to happen to her. I don't remember exactly, but I can say the conflict was a scare fright conflict.
In the
Which
hospital?
affects in the hospital, which affects the bronchi. And that somehow remained in her head, because that thing, her cough increased, and they gave her all kinds of medications. And I remember she said something about the medication, and that itself scared her. Anyway, somebody told her something, and she kept taking the medication, and she just stopped healing. It just went on, the cough. She stopped the medicine, and she would keep coughing. And she said she just didn't know what to do. And that thing continued while she was studying. Then she came back to India, and it continued. And then she found that when she was in the mountains, like she used to go to Uttarakhand and all in the hills for a month or two at a time, she was better there. But she would come to the city and she would get worse. So we tried to figure out what's the connection between the city and over there, because there was it was a tricky one. It was a really tricky one, I do remember.
Some tracks or
Anyway,
reminders there, right?
yeah, we talked about it. We talked 1 hour. And somewhere along the way, we figured out the conflict. Because I remember saying to her, that seems to me to be the cause of this whole, the beginning. That fear or the fright you got in England is the starting point. And maybe in Bombay, when you come, there is some association with the similar environment where your body is reacting, but when you're in the hills, you're more at peace. So we thought, she also thought a lot, and we sort of knew. We both felt, and even her dad felt, that we had found the conflict. Now, the beauty of this was, she was with me for an hour and a half. She came in coughing, and when she left, her cough had almost vanished. And when she was going, she just looked at me and said, Uncle, I don't know what's happened, but I'm not coughing. I said, be happy. Maybe we found the cause. And she said, yeah, we might have. I said, keep thinking, keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. And keep in touch with me. Keep on talking to me every day if you want. I don't care. Just, we have to put an end to this. You have shown remarkable recovery in an hour and a half. We'll solve this. And she kept in touch. And a few weeks later, she stopped talking to me. And I also lost touch. And then I said, okay, no news is good news. And then one day, dad spoke to me and said, she's almost fine. She's almost recovered. And then she also spoke to me, and a few times, and she said, yes, uncle, I've now realized, I've found the cause. I watch the trigger. I watch when it's happening. I stop that thinking, and I can control it. So it was just magical for that child. 8 years or 10 years of suffering.
Wow.
She was
Wow.
thin, and she was looking sickly. Now, when I see her, I saw her, met her recently also at some functions. She is glowing. and looking gorgeous. And I
Wow.
said to her dad, I said, look at your daughter. I mean, just look at her now. She is looking beautiful. Her face is glowing. She's not coughing. There's nothing. She said, yeah, Shyam, she is now in full command of her health. And she's so well. I was so happy. It's remarkable when you see the magic of this. And I mean, people may say anything. Oh, it happened by itself. No, 8 years of coughing can't vanish in 1.5 hours unless there is some truth in the Germanic healing knowledge of finding the switch. You find the switch, you
Amazing.
switch it off, you make the connection. The subconscious mind says, Eureka, I'm going to stop this program.
And you transformed her life, Jan.
She transformed her life. I just guided her.
She transformed her life with your guidance, of course. Yes.
And every now and then she messages me something. Yeah, what about this? Someone, her boyfriend had a sty. So what about this? How do you solve this? So I sent her the literature. Then 1 week later, she said, now he's got more styes than before. So what do I do? I say, you do one thing. First of all, as Dr. Hammer says, remove all the damn mirrors from the house, because his problem now is looking at the styles is causing the conflict of, it's a conflict of looking ugly or feeling dirty.
It's a visual separation.
It's a visual dirty feeling of being dirty.
That's right. Yeah.
So I said, just tell him to stop looking at his eyes, tell him to stop looking at the styles, and remove all the remove all the mirrors. 1 week later, she said they're all gone. Yeah. She said they're all gone now. Thank God. I said, yeah. So remember, the conflict itself can be the conflict. That's the problem.
Yes. Right.
That's where the problem is.
Let's do some skin conditions, shall we, Shyam?
Of course. Why not? And you're the best example. I should say your wife's example it's a remarkable example. Remarkable. It will help people understand there is nothing that is like a chronic condition. It is all linked to a conflict. And if you can find the link, you can end the conflict. You find the switch, you switch it off, it's gone.
So let me give some background. My wife was gluten intolerant. She had a gluten allergy, as I say, or intolerance, and every time she ate bread, she would number one, she would get insomnia, she wouldn't sleep all night, and she would get hives, and she would get acne on her face. And when we first met, I first helped her to identify the gluten intolerance. So we took gluten out of her diet, and that sort of partially solved the problem. But every time she accidentally had gluten in her food in any way, in any ingredient, then she would not sleep and get insomnia and hives and acne and all the things again. Now, I worked with her when I started studying Germanic healing knowledge. This is an example of being too close to a problem, right? I mean, I worked on this problem with her for 5 or 6 years, and I actually I couldn't find the magic trigger to help her to switch this gluten intolerance off. So I brought in my best buddy and an often mentor, Mr. Shyam Mehta, to come in and speak to my wife. And Shyam, you could take it over. What did you do?
Well, I'm not your mentor. You're my mentor. There's no debate on that. So anyway, but I've learned a lot from you, and I'm able to help you also. Why not? I mean, my knowledge from you can help you also. It can help me. It can help anyone. Knowledge can help everybody.
Absolutely.
So I remember this. I met your wife, I think, for the first time in 23 January. It was, if I'm not wrong. It was last year, January.
That's right. Yeah.
And or was it the year before? Anyway, so it was a January month when it may be 22 also, and I
might be 20,
might be 22, and just dropped by having a glass of wine with you and Anud, and we were discussing this, and you all had given up on it because you had tried a lot, and
we'd given up
said
on
it's
it.
not possible. Yeah. So I said, why don't you just tell me something about it? Just let me see if I can apply my mind and maybe help you find the trigger. If I know you've not found it so far, but who knows?
Yeah.
And then you mentioned about her allergy to bread. You said if she touched bread, she would get all kinds of reactions on her body. She would have hives, she could have acne, she had sleeplessness, insomnia, all kinds of things would happen to her just by having a bite of bread. And when we thought of hives, we thought separation conflict, because that's what it is. Hives is a result of a separation conflict. Now
That's
we
right.
had to find how hives was connected to how bread was connected to the separation conflict.
That's
So
right.
that's how we, for the viewers,
Started.
you have to find how that so-called allergic food or reaction is connected to the conflict. Now here was the biological conflict of separation. Now separation was is a hives. It's a symptom of hives.
It's the healing. It's the healing of hives, right?
Separation conflict can lead to hives.
Yeah.
Hives is a symptom. Sorry, hives is a symptom. So
That's a
separation
symptom.
conflict can cause hives. So we knew there was a separation conflict somewhere. Now, while discussing it, it came out that she had a separation conflict from her dad. She had a very difficult relationship with her dad, and it was tough. And she always had a problem with him. You know, when she was with him, she wanted to be away from him. When she was away, she might want to be with him. So it was a difficult conflict there.
Difficult relationship.
Yes, it was a difficult relationship, but it was a classic separation, hard separation conflict. So I asked Danny, what's the connection between dad and bread?
Correct.
He looked at
You
me
just
and
you
said,
just asked that question. That's the only question you asked me,
yeah.
right?
So that's the only one. And I recall now. I said, Danny, what's the connection is there a connection between her dad and bread? And Danny said her dad lives on bread.
He's a bread
He's a
freak.
bread maniac.
He's a maniac. He's got 10 different types of bread in the house, and you walk in and he force feeds you it when you walk in the front door.
So I said, Danny, to my mind, that's the connection. Anu has connected. She has grown up in his house as his child, and she has seen his madness for bread. So for her, dad is equal to bread. So when she eats bread, it starts the separation conflict. So they both looked at each other and said, I remember looking at each other and saying, we never thought of this.
Yeah.
And I said, now try, you never know. 1 week later, he sent me a message with very flowery language and unparliamentary language and saying, okay, my wife is now eating bread like she has never eaten bread before in the last 25 years. So there we are,
And life-changing, Shyam. I mean, my wife is a foodie, and bread is one of her favorite things to eat. Often when she was gluten intolerant, she would eat bread just because she loved it so much. Even though knowing that it would cost her a night's sleep, and hives and acne and all the things, right? So when you helped us get to that conclusion that her subconscious mind basically had made her dad bread and bred her dad, we then just used the teachings of Mr. Joseph Murphy and the power of the subconscious mind to separate those entities. So I gave her a script to read to her subconscious mind at night time that bread is not my dad and dad is not bread. I want a separation conflict from my dad. I want to be separated from my dad. I do not want to be separated from bread. Please separate them and switch off the separation conflict in my subconscious mind to bread and to gluten, and literally, bang, 20-year problem of gluten intolerance, which caused all sorts of problems, gone. Now she
Absolutely.
eats bread as though it's going out of fashion. She loves it.
So the message,
life-changing.
I think the message for all the viewers and for people who want to understand Germanic healing is that all these so-called chronic conditions or rashes, all these intolerances are all connected to a conflict. So if you are lactose intolerant, you can be sure that milk is connected to the conflict that you are. It could be any conflict, but remember, milk would be connected to that conflict.
And we both used to be lactose intolerant, Shyam, right?
Right. So I used to get bronchitis every time I drank milk. And one day, my yoga teacher in the 90s, he told me, why don't you stop milk and see if you're okay? I stopped milk and I never got bronchitis again. Of course, until this recent episode. And why? I even discussed it with you. And after Germanic healing knowledge, I realized why I used to get it. I used to get it because my mother used to force me to drink milk. I didn't want to drink milk. And they had told me that as a little boy, that if you don't drink milk, some ghost will take you away. And you will be, they pointed to some ghost-like people and they said that they'll take you away and you'll be, you'll be finished. You will die. You'll never be found again. And that had caused a fright in like a 4-year-old boy. When you tell a 4-year-old boy
Yeah.
that someone will take you away if you don't drink milk, and then so every time I drank milk, I got bronchitis. And after this, when I drink milk, I don't get bronchitis. Nothing happens now because I know now the cause, and I know there's nothing. There's no fear anymore. I said, "There's okay. That was just a
So
childish fear. I know why it
now you can
happened.
drink milk and it's not a problem, right?
Not a problem." I said, anyone can take, no one's going to take me away. Well, so that I found the trigger and disconnected the two. Like you said, you
Yeah.
tell your mind. I said, there's nothing, no one's going to take me away. And this milk milk is not going to take me away or nothing's going to happen to me. I'm fine. I know now why I used to get this bronchitis attack. It was because of this fear and the milk being connected to that conflict. So it
Yeah.
vanished. So the trick is to find this and remember any kind of intolerance uh, for the viewers, any kind of intolerance is connected to the conflict. If you can find the connection, you'll be free of it.
You can switch it
People
off.
find it easier, not to eat. Somebody tells you and today I'm seeing everybody's being diagnosed with some intolerance. I don't even know whether it's right, but everyone is going to take allergy tests every day, every alternate day, or some people tell you, I'm going for an allergy test, and then they're told you're allergic to A, B, C, D. Stop eating this. Stop eating that stuff. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Shall we go through switching off depression, Shan?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
Again, none of us are immune to it, so you can tell us what happened to you, because this involves you, and you would be the best person to say it. And then we can recount our conversation that day and that night, and the next morning how you felt relieved.
So I have probably had the worst 3 months of my life. My mum sadly passed away over Christmas. I suspect from one of those vaccines, but anyway, that's another point. My mum's passing put me into a deep depression for a 3-month period, January, February, March, and I was unable to pull myself out of this depression. It was crushing. I've never been so low in my life, which is why I went into sort of semi-hibernation during the first quarter of this year. And I was struggling to pull myself out of it. So my wife, being one of my trusted and probably most trusted advisor, said to me, Danny, what you need to do to pull yourself out of this funk is you need to go and speak to Shyam. So I'm like, right, I agree. Sometimes when even if you acquire knowledge, number one, the most difficult person I find is to heal ourselves, because we're very close to our own problems, right? So getting yourself a trusted buddy who you help them, they help you. And the other thing, now having been, when you're in the depths of depression or some similar situation, you don't think clearly and you don't think straight in terms of how you can solve your own problems. So after being in the depths of depression for 3 months and desperate to try and pull out of it, I approached my buddy Shyam. Said, Shyam, I need help. I am in terrible shape and I need to be able to pull myself out of it. What do I do? What did you say, Shyam?
Actually, you didn't approach me. I could sense it. You were in Bombay, and a couple of times I messaged you, and you were not. Your response was down and low. So I one day called you and I said,
That's
"What's
right.
happening, Danny? How are you feeling and all?"
Right.
And you said, "Not good, not good at all." So I said, "What's the problem, Danny? I mean, you know, what's wrong here?" And I can understand. Yes, you lost your mother, And then in the course of the conversation, you mentioned a thing like, my dad and mom joined at the hip. That was something which you kept on saying. Even before she passed, you had mentioned to me they're joined at the hip, and they are so bonded, 50 years, 59, 56 years, or 57 years together.
Yeah,
And, you know, my dad, and he's down, and he's this and that. And I said, maybe he's not so bad after all. You're saying he's down, and he may not be. And so we went on, and then you said, no, in my mind, um, my, da- my, I also always knew my dad and mom will go together or one after another. And I was like, what? He's a different human being. He may be okay now. He may be happy. He may be enjoying his freedom. It could be anything. He may not tell you. We don't know. Why should he
absolutely.
follow her? He may feel, okay, now I've looked after my lovely wife for 56 years. We've been together. Now let me do something on my own. Let me find my own way in life. Maybe I'll do some self discovery, anything. But she's gone doesn't mean he's gone. So now you can take over and tell everyone how you had conditioned your mind. You
So
had
yes,
conditioned your mind.
absolutely, it's exactly right, Sham. You're on the money as always. Your sniper's rifle is extraordinary. I had my parents were in fact married for 56 years. They were grandparents at the age of 36 and great grandparents by the age of 61. They were as much in love to the day my mum passed than they were when they first met. I had over many years convinced my subconscious mind that they were so codependent that if one went, the other one would go soon after, because I just didn't see a path for either of them to live an independent life without each other. And basically, what happened is my subconscious mind, when my mum passed away at Christmas, basically was essentially suffering or mourning the loss of my dad before he passed away.
I
Right?
remember you were waiting. You were virtually waiting for him
Yes.
to go.
So
You were like, I
when
said, what's wrong with you?
so when Sham metaphorically slapped me around the head and said, "Stop being so damn stupid, Danny. He's alive and fine." I use the techniques of the power of the subconscious mind. Before I slept that night, I was in a deep depression still, and had been for the 3 months previous. And on Sham's guidance and advice, basically, I said to my subconscious mind, right, subconscious mind, I know I've been telling you for the last decades that I expect my parents to move on together or very close together. I'm changing that now. And my dad has not moved on. He's still here. So I'm going to focus on enjoying the time I have with my dad. So please switch off any of those thoughts that I have programmed you with, that they will likely pass together or very close together. Those rules have now changed, and now I am going to enjoy the time that I have left with my
Right.
dad, whether it's a week, a month, a year, 10 years, 20 years. He's still relatively young. He's only in his mid-70s, right? And touch wood, he is fit and fine and in good health. And when I woke up the next morning, the world had been lifted off my shoulders. I pulled out of that deep depression, and it was transformative. When I went to bed at nighttime, I was in deep depression. When I woke up the next morning, I felt like I had just woken up to a beautiful new world, and it was extraordinary. I've never gone through such a transformative emotional journey in my life, where I've gone from the depths of despair to exhilaration of like the joy of waking up and getting out of bed. However, I also knew that there would be some physical consequences that would follow this. So the day after I resolved this depression conflict, I had significant colic in my kidney, in my right kidney, which basically indicates that I experience an abandonment conflict by my by my mum moving on and my subconscious mind waiting for my dad to also move on. So when I resolved that, I had the most crippling kidney cramps that I've ever experienced. I didn't check. I thought it might have been kidney stones, but I think it was more likely the kidney collecting tubules. And therefore, for the next 2 weeks, in and out over points of time, I went through kidney colic, and my kidneys spasmed, and it felt like somebody was kicking me in the kidneys, and it was rather unpleasant. But I knew it would work its way out and resolve itself. But now I'm back on top of the world and in fighting form, Shyam.
Excellent. So again, I guess the message to everyone is that you need to find the trigger, the
Got to find the
switch.
trigger.
In
The
this
magic,
case,
the
depression.
magic switch.
Depression, the switch is normally a thinking process, the thought. You find the thought, you send it out, release it, and you're free. So Danny's 3 months of depression or feeling low just vanished overnight. Once he
Switch,
figured out the thought and he let it go.
switched off like
So
a light switch.
switched
Amazing,
off.
Shyam. And I will remain ever in gratitude
Come on.
for your continued assistance and sage guidance in my life.
Well, you know how indebted I am to you for bringing Germanic healing knowledge into my life. I would have been a wreck today with the kind of conflicts people go through around me, my daughter, and all healing has happened just by itself. Or else, my little girl would have been on steroids for the rest of her life, but she just heals herself now magically. I think it's been a fabulous journey. So, what I've learned from you, fortunately, I'm able to give something back.
And that's I mean, it's wonderful, Shyam, right? I say when particularly when finding a buddy to learn along with really is a super useful tip or technique, because number one, I mean, Sham and I know each other's lives now intimately. So when he has a problem, I say, "Oh, Sham, that's a problem that's causing that," without even discussing it. So we're now able to help each other, particularly say finding your own conflicts and solving your healing yourself is the most difficult. Finding that magic switch, especially when you're in the depths of depression or in the middle of pain and stuff like that, trying to find those conflicts on your own can be challenging. So if you have a close buddy where you can learn together, teach together, you understand each other's lives intimately, you're just a little bit more objective of somebody else's life than you are of your own. So sometimes having the outsider's ability to look into somebody else's life and help each other to identify these triggers and switch them off. I mean, it's a very, we found, Cham, it's a very, very powerful process, right? I mean, I know what's causing problems with your dog when you don't, and you know what's causing problems with my wife when I don't. I mean, and you know what's happening in my life when I don't. I mean, it's truly magical how you can bounce off of each other and really get.
It always takes another person to be objective. You can't be so objective. So it's someone looking from outside as an objective view can find the switch better, or at least help you find the switch better. And of course, brutal honesty with yourself. You have to be honest to yourself.
100%.
Lie to yourself
and with each other, right?
And with each other. If you tell yourself that I'm immune, nothing happens to me, I'm one of those above all this, that's the end of it. Then you may continue sick all the time.
Okay. Sham, I know you're a busy man. I am super grateful for sharing your experiences that you've had over the last few years with Germanic healing knowledge. I'm of course always super grateful for all of the extraordinary help and assistance you've given me, and even recently with this depression I went through. It's an honor and a pleasure to know you and to work with you in Germanic healing knowledge. And I look forward to many more years of us of helping each other and helping others in order to find these magic switches and switch off all of these so-called diseases that we're conditioned about.
Yes, Danny, it doesn't end here. You know that there's a long way ahead.
A long journey
We have a lot
ahead.
of people to help. a lot of people to heal.
Yes.
I mean, of course, we'll keep talking, and I'll always owe you. You may say what you like, but I'll always owe you. I told you hundreds of times that I'm at peace with myself today because of Germanic healing knowledge.
Yeah,
And
amazing.
that came to me through you. You are the vehicle, the instrument. And we have a long way to go. As you know, I've spoken to you about my plans and what plans I have for you.
Yes.
You're going to spread the word everywhere, Danny. Get ready.
I'm going to do my best, Shyam. We're going to do it, Shyam.
I'm going to launch you soon.
You're not dumping this all on me, man. Come on, we're going to do it together.
You are the leader. You are the torchbearer. I'll follow you. But I've got something soon coming up for you, something good to spread the gospel, Danny. Thank you again for the wonderful interview, and I hope that the viewers can learn something and take to Germanic healing knowledge and help themselves be happy and healthy. Thank you.
God bless you, Shyam.
Thank you. God bless.